York, and hello, hockey fans all across the internet, and welcome to 315 Hockey Live, brought to you by 315hockey.com and powered by My Little Falls. I'm your host, Scott Kinville, and this is just the best time of the year because it's playoff time, and it's playoff time all over the place. It's not just the NHL. I know everybody likes to talk about the NHL, rightfully so, very exciting, right? But it's everywhere, all over the place.
You say that every Christmas. Come on.
It's not Christmas. This is my Christmas.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I don't care about the one in December. I care about now. Right?
You don't.
And, like I said, it's all over the place. And the ECHL is just about to start up. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But first, I'm going to bring in my co-host, my producer, my sidekick, the madman on the keyboard, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Dave Warner. What's going on?
Not too much. What's going on with you?
Not too much. Are you having fun over there?
I'm having fun.
I see you got your finger on that red button. What's it do?
Red button. It mutes you.
No wonder you have your finger hovering right above it.
No.
I am not surprised.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
So anyways, like I said, NHL playoffs are starting, AHL playoffs are starting, and of course the ECHL playoffs are starting. And coming back to our show, because he's been on several times, we just love having him on to talk about the ECHL, the Adirondack Thunder, and everything that's going on up there. He is the ECHL editor for InsideTheRink.com. He is Mr. Armand Klisvitch. Armand, what's going on?
How you doing, Scott?
How's things up there in Adirondack?
You know what? I remember coming on your show last time, and I said the Adirondack Thunder are going to play a playoff team. They were, 9 or 11 points back, and they've crawled their way, 2 wins against Worcester, and all 3 Jersey Devils organization, despite the number of injuries, are all in the playoffs.
I know, it's incredible, right? I mean, what would a New Jersey Devils season without their organization, without like goaltender injuries and all that, right? But they've all scratched and clawed their way through. The Utica Comets are in. Obviously, the Devils are in. And, of course, the Thunder are in. Armand, you brought along some help for us tonight.
Yes, I brought along Grace, who is covering the South Carolina Stingrays. She joined us a couple of weeks ago, and she's done a great job. The Stingrays wrapped up the clinched number 1 seed in their division. So, like I said, I started Inside the Rink, and I said this is going to be the home for ECHL moving forward, and everybody on the team is basically taking up that role. They know what our goal is, and Grace is just a part of that. And, I just want to remind people, if you need your ECHL coverage, we have everything. Player profiles, game recaps, playoff previews. It's there at Inside the Rink.
Yeah, absolutely. And Inside the Rink is exploding all over the place. And it's not just the website. You got the app. I think you're starting up a YouTube channel as well, right?
Yep. We're starting that back up too.
Awesome. So Grace Gendron. So the South Carolina Stingrays. Now the ECHL, like the AHL, has NHL affiliates. So who are the South Carolina Stingrays affiliated with?
Yeah, so we're affiliated with the Washington Capitals. So that also means we're affiliated with the Hershey Bears.
Oh, okay. Hershey Bear, one of the most historic franchises in the AHL. Very cool.
Absolutely.
All right. How long have you been doing that?
I just came on a few weeks ago. And I never thought I would be doing this. I'm actually in law school. So, yeah. So I just was a big hockey fan, and then I stumbled upon this, and I absolutely love Inside the Rink and everything they've brought to me so far.
Very cool. Very cool. Law student who's a hockey writer. Boy, that could be some interesting conversation right there.
It gets brought up in a lot of interviews for sure. And they're like, how does that correlate? And I'm like, listen, I don't know.
We'll make it work, right?
Exactly.
I brought her on so I have somebody to negotiate when I want to work out my contract with Connor.
Good idea.
I got it.
Jeez.
Oh, boy. So, Armand, when exactly are the ECHL playoffs starting?
They start Wednesday night. Adirondack will kick off at home, surprisingly, due to the travel to Newfoundland. So they will play Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Saturday a very odd 5 p.m. start. And then they will go to Newfoundland for 4 games.
Okay, so it is all the series are best of 7?
Best of 7. And for those of you who know me, I do like to make the trips out to Worcester and to Maine. I will not be making the 34-hour drive out to Newfoundland.
Oh, come on. Why not?
Ew.
You got to tell Inside the Rink you want a helicopter to go there.
Yeah, I'm sure that would go over great with Connor.
I'll call him.
I'm surprised my phone's not blowing up right now, as a matter of fact. So with the ECHL playoffs, just for those who aren't familiar, is each division have the top 4, or is there varying level or numbers of teams going in because the AHL is kind of combobulated like that?
Top 4 in each division.
Okay.
And I think the North Division, and I believe it was the South, are 2 divisions that were just neck and neck for the playoffs this year. I think in the South, between the top seed and the 4th seed, I think it was like 4 or 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
And then Adirondack and Worcester, went out of this weekend. And Adirondack was down 3-1 midway through the second, clawed their way back. And you want to talk about an electric building? The Cool and Cheering Arena this weekend was electric.
Nice. About ready to blow the roof off the joint, huh?
I thought the roof was going to come off.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like you said, they clawed back. I mean, you were on, I think it was about 6 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and they were down and out. But I guess the ECHL has a lot of condensed series, right? And they do end up playing like actually the ECHL actually does a little bit more travel, it seems, than the AHL. It seems like like Adirondack was out in the West Coast or the western part of the country, anyways. But when you come down to it, they play a lot of 3-3s. There's a lot of games played in a short period of time, and it's
I did the trip. We had a game. Was it last weekend? It was a Friday in Glens Falls, a Saturday in Worcester, and then a Sunday in Maine. And I made that trip. And boy, I give these teams credit for doing those 3-3s. It's not easy.
No, not at all. I wouldn't want to do it. That's for sure. So the Adirondack Thunder got in on the 4th playoff spot, and you said Newfoundland. That's who they're playing.
Yep.
All right, so that's obviously a 1 versus 4. Who's the 2 versus 3 in the North?
That would be Reading versus Maine.
Reading versus Maine. All right, and then obviously those 2 teams play, and then I'm assuming with the ECHL they're divided into 2 conferences.
Correct.
Okay, good. So, and then obviously who's the favorite in the other conference, and I would assume the Eastern Conference.
In the East right now, when you look at the 2 conferences, I think in the East it's always been Newfoundland, but you know what? Newfoundland's a team that, despite being a team that's the top of the division right now, James Melindy just announced his retirement. They're the Growlers captain, which I think is going to be a huge loss. And Adirondack has played very well this year against Newfoundland. Last year there was a team that they struggled against, but I think players are getting healthy for Adirondack. They made this late push to get into the playoffs, and I think that momentum is just going to build. And I'm going to go on and say, I've got Adirondack in 6.
Wow. Going out on the limb, making the prediction. A man who's got guts. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. So, Grace, it looks like South Carolina is in the South Division. I'm looking at the standings right now. So, you got South Carolina. They edged it out 2 points into first place. Very interesting over Jacksonville. Yeah. The Jacksonville Icemen.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty neat. The Greenville Swamp Rabbits and then Florida Everblades, right? That's awesome. I'm telling you, that's original. I love it. And they got a couple other really cool names in that division too. The Orlando Solar Bears.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. I mean, I'm just imagining like a polar bear with like a solar panel on him or something like that. Right?
Barnyard Rats.
Yeah, there you go. Like just like that. And then of course the Savannah Ghost Pirates, which is really neat as well.
I just want to know who named them.
That's so right. I mean, I guess the history or the city of Savannah has a history of obviously pirates, but there's ghosts there and all that. Oh yeah. But it always reminded me when that came out, the first thing I could think of was Scooby-Doo. Where is the mystery machine? That's what I want to know.
Jordy knows.
Yeah, he does. Look,
they should have done that for the Zamboni.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. I know. What was I thinking? I wasn't. That's the problem. So Grace, the South Division, how's that stacking up? I mean, obviously, we just went over the 4 playoff teams. Is there any potential upsides? Because it looks like they're pretty close in points.
I mean, when we clinched the division on Saturday, that game with the Icemen, I could have been taken out in an ambulance. I don't think my heart rate was below 100. I'm not even joking. We had a brand new goalie in net who has not played at all this season. We came back from we were down by 3 goals. I mean, we went to overtime. We went to a shootout. I mean, it's his first professional game. So I'm, checking my pulse, every 3 minutes to make sure I'm still alive. But it was a rough game. But looking at the Kelly Cup playoffs, the Stingrays love to choke against the Everblades. I think in the 10 times we met them this year, we won 3 of the games.
Hey.
But I mean, I'm really liking what Coach is doing this year. And especially with the kids we got coming up from college and, you know, with the Frozen Four ending. But we were looking pretty solid and ready for the Kelly Cup this past.
Well, you know, she was over here talking about ambulances. Now I just got to thinking, that sounds painful. Choking on an Everblaze, my God.
No, you know, we could go on like a 7-game win streak, and then we go down to Florida, and then it's like lose. And I'm just like, what are we doing here, fellas? Come on.
Right.
Like, what are we doing?
It's that can be frustrating when you see your team playing so well, and then all of a sudden, and it happens often in hockey, where it just like it's a switch, and bang, and then the next thing you know, you've lost 3 in a row, or so that. But that's why we love this game, because it just elevates our heart rates, elevates our blood pressures. Is not good for our health at all.
No. And I'm trying to be professional and not be a fan, but I'm just. At one point, I was like, I can't do this. But,
Your Honor. I protest.
See, there you go. It's giving you practice for court. That's all.
Oh my gosh! I'm like, I don't think they're throwing punches in court, but
you never know, though.
So you were out there brawling then. Well, now we know why she was checking for the ambulance in her pulse. She's out there brawling on the ice.
Oh my gosh! But
that's gonna be the new ECHL team, the Bailiffs.
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna be the general manager.
Oh,
there
man.
it is.
All right, no, we gotta go with. I don't know.
Oh, come on!
I can't find it. Anyway.
That's because you had your finger on the red button trying to mute me.
I know. I'm like, what the
I'm gonna work that into my 10-year plan.
There you go, right?
But
that's what I was looking for.
But I will say that the Stingrays did show some promise against the Everblades. We did take them to a shootout 2 weeks ago, but we're looking good. I'm saying Stingrays in 5. I think we're going to win it in Florida when they're on the road.
Ooh.
That's my prediction. I think we're going to choke one time. But that's my prediction. As far as the Icemen and the Swamp Rabbits, I think the Swamp Rabbits are going to take it.
I think that's a really cool name too. The Swamp
I
Rabbits.
know.
That's awesome.
This is awesome stuff.
It is.
But I for sure think the Swamp Rabbits are going to take that one. I do have a bias there because there is a player that has my last name. So
right.
Yeah, Miles Gendron, former UConn player.
Any relation?
I'm gonna say yes, just because it's not a common last name.
Because it's impossible not to prove. That's
right. But for sure, I think they have a really strong team. But I just kind of want the Swamp Rabbits to win.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I will say that, since I don't have a pony in the race, so to speak, I do hope that South Carolina wins just for the sake of your heart rate and your blood pressure. That's the only reason.
My health.
We don't want to see anything happen to you.
Yeah, my health.
And if your predictions are off, nobody's going to hire you as an attorney. So just think about that.
Well, good thing I have Inside the Rink still.
There you go, right?
Good job there.
That'll pay the bills.
This is my $200,000 degree is down the drain.
So taking a look at the Central Division, you got Cincinnati, Toledo, Indy, the Indy Fuel. That's really cool too. And the Fort Worth Comets, who spelled the name with a K, not a C, which is really cool as well.
No, it's not.
I think it is.
It's a stupid name.
Do you have a wet blanket sound effect over there by chance too? Or
how about the Fort Worth Herders or something? Because there's cattle. Herders, there's cattle up there. It's cow town.
Quit while you're ahead.
Come on.
So what do you two see out of the Central Division?
You know what? Personally, I think right now, I hate to say this, but the Mountain Division and the Idaho Steelheads have had a year. They have been breaking records left and right. And, you look at Boston, the way they've set records this year in the NHL. Idaho is the same way in the ECHL. And if Idaho doesn't win the Kelly Cup, it's gonna be really surprising because they've just been on a tear all year long.
Wow, you're right. I'm looking at that right now. I mean, they 119 points. And the closest team to them in second place was the Allen Americans, who had 77. Wow.
And they have three. Their top two goaltenders were in the top three of the entire ECHL this year.
Jeez, my goodness. So yeah, that's the Mountain Division. Like we just said, Idaho. We'll just name the 4 teams. Obviously, Idaho is the favorite. The Idaho Steelheads, the Allen Americans, the Kansas City Mavericks, it looks like, and Utah came in 4th. So Utah gets the honor of playing Idaho in the first round. So best of luck. And again, those were all best of 7 series as well, correct?
Correct.
All right. Okay, so now that we've gone over a little bit of a picture here of the playoffs, let's talk about the 2 teams actually that are, well, near and dear to
before we move on, I was told to remind you to ask me about Travis Broman.
Well, that's what we're going to get to. That's what we're getting to. So let's see. The Adirondack Thunder, who are obviously the ECHL affiliate of the Utica Comets and the New Jersey Devils. Let's see. The Orlando Solar Bears, it doesn't look like they made it in, but they are the ECHL affiliate of the Syracuse Crunch and the Tampa Bay Lightning. So let's talk about those Thunder there, Armand. And yes, please do tell us about Travis.
Travis came in, injuries, call-ups happened to the Thunder. They brought in a ton of kids from college. And Broman's been that second-line center that Adirondack needed. They needed a big body up the middle. Broman just had a good year. He's had 12 goals, 21 assists in 47 games. And he's just been a solid piece up the middle for the Thunder when they needed that big body. And it's probably one of the bigger bodies they had this last weekend with Rivera out and no Turcotte. It's just been really nice to see a lot of these college kids come in and produce right away. And, like Pete McCarthy says, opportunity knocks.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I just looked it up. He is a big guy, 6'2", 185. He graduated from Oswego last year. So he's got that Central New York connection, which we always love. That 315 connection's awesome.
I believe we have another one in Matt Petesian.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. So, like I said, we love that 315 connection. And interestingly enough, he also played in the SPHL, the Southern Professional Hockey League, the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs, which that's another. I'll tell you something. If you want to get into another league that's got awesome team names, the Southern Professional Hockey League as well. You got to look it up. It's great. We have.
What's the NHL doing here? Like,
I know, right? Where? What is the matter with them? But insofar as the Adirondack Thunder go, Armand, so how about some other key players?
I think right now you got to look at Patrick Grasso, who set the record for most goals scored this season by any Adirondack Thunder this year. Shane Harper most points by a Thunder this year in franchise history. And I think those 2 guys have really been 2 guys who, Grasso's had his stints with the Comets. He's had his stints with the Monsters. Harper's been up here all year. But, when you look at guys who are going to be in the lineup most nights, it's you look at those 2 guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
I have to admit, Adirondack went out, made a waiver claim about a week ago to get Dejan Mingo from the Cincinnati Cyclones. And that was a move the Thunder needed to make. He's got experience, which they needed because they lost Jeff Taylor, who was their veteran earlier in the year. And, the guy's fast. He's great to talk to. He's picked up 4 points, picked up another 2 this weekend, including his first goal with the Thunder. And I think he's going to be a solid piece on that blue line heading into the playoffs with no Jeff Taylor. And like you said, you always need that veteran presence, and that's what Mingo brings on the blue line for us. Excellent.
How's the goaltending looking? Is Merrick's Mittens? I mean, Utica fans know who he is.
The goaltending is
it's
New Jersey. We've had the Adirondack Thunder have had 9 different goaltenders in net this year at one point. Mittens, from what I have been told, he is getting closer. But he's not ready for the first round. Jake Toit, however, will be back for the Thunder and is expected to be the game 1 starter.
Very interesting. Yeah, because he spent a little bit of time in Utica, too. Because, like you said, it's got to have a New Jersey Devils carousel and goal for the entire organization.
But, Mike Robinson you want to talk about a guy who came out of nowhere. This guy came down from Huntsville, and this weekend played 3-3.
Wow, he played all 3 games.
3-3.
Wow, man, buy that man a steak dinner. That is.
Oh, like he looks at me and goes, we go, "Are you tired?" He goes, "No," and I'm like, somebody's like, "When was the last time you played a 3-3?" He goes, "Oh, it's been a while. Probably not since college."
Jeez. Oh boy. Well, I'll tell you, we lost Jordy again.
I know.
And we lost him again, and this was going to be his moment to shine because he had all the stats lined up, and I'm trying to get a hold of him and see if he can get back in. Anything else we need to know about the Thunder or even that division in general?
I think it's going to be a really good race. I think Reading's a sneaky good team. I think they don't get enough credit right now. I think everybody kind of looks at Newfoundland as that big dog in the north because they're basically half an AHL team with how often they're getting guys from the Marlies. But I think Reading's got a really solid team, and I think Reading's going to be one of those teams that could surprise people in the north. Really?
So the Marlies are sending people down to Newfoundland. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, I did not realize that.
Half their team, whatever the AHL maximum is for an ECHL team, Newfoundland's got it.
No kidding. So who's Reading affiliated with?
Reading's affiliated with the Flyers.
Okay, well, yeah, they're definitely going to be getting players back then for sure. And you kind of see that on the AHL level too, right? Where some of the teams that don't make the playoffs, all of a sudden their AHL teams are starting to get loaded up because they want to give them some playing time and like that. Let's see. Barry says Carolina leading the Islanders 1-0 with 4 minutes left in game 1. Yes, that is the NHL playoffs. And if Carolina wins that, that's going to break my bracket right off the bat because I picked the Islanders outside of it. Thank you, Barry. All right.
I knew that'd make you feel good.
Yeah, but you just know me too well, Dave. I tell you, you really do. So I'll tell you what.
My question here, Scott, is do you think next year is the year where all the goaltenders in New Jersey stay healthy?
No.
Never.
No. I'll just answer that now. No.
Now, from what I've been hearing, there's a lot of rumors, and I want your thoughts on this. I've heard a lot of people talk that Isaac Poulter is going to be up in MEA next year.
Well, that's interesting. It's going to depend. I think Akira Schmid is obviously going to be in the NHL next year. He's definitely going to be Vitek Vanacek's backup. I almost had to pause there for a second. Poulter, I would love to see him stay in the A. I think he's earned it. I think he deserves it. But you got Nico Dawes there in Utica, and they also just signed Tyler Brennan, who was a 2022 draft pick of theirs. So it's either going to be him or Poulter that's going to be down with Adirondack next year, I would assume. So I think that's going to be one of those you're going to get into training camp and let them battle it out and see who wins.
You mean we're going to get to training camp and then all the goaltenders in New Jersey are going to get hurt and everything's going to
well, let's at least try. Yeah, but let's try to get through training camp this year anyway. Maybe what they can do is instead of actually playing goal, they can just set them up with video games and virtual reality.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Mittens has played in one, hasn't played since opening night for the Thunder.
Yeah, that's too bad too because he really is a good.
No, and I had a lot of problems for Mittens this year.
Yeah, I mean that was just it.
And I feel bad he hasn't gotten a shot. Like I feel like he could be a solid goaltender if he gets his shot and stays healthy.
Well, that's just it because remember last season when he was in Utica for like 3 weeks when Dawes got hurt and then Schmid got, or was it the other way around? Schmid got called up and Dawes got hurt. Anyways, it was right at the same time. One. And Mittens played like consecutively for 3 weeks for the Comets and he held them in it.
He played well.
He did. He really did. So, I mean, it's too bad that he had the injury bug this year. But let's see. Okay, Jordan can't get back in. He's having some technical difficulties. So, you know what? I'm still going to go forward with this because the ECHL has a lot of recent graduates from Central New York here. You know what? Right here, we got the Utica University Pioneers. We got the Oswego Lakers, like we just talked about with Travis Brauman. We also have the Colgate Raiders, who won the ECAC championship. We got to say that again because it's too awesome.
You like that?
I love saying that. Yep. So anyways, we got a list here of some of those players that are just signed in the ECHL or have been there for a year. So I want to kind of go over these lists and these teams and tell me what you guys think. So the Norfolk Admirals we'll start with. I don't think they made the playoffs. I'm looking at no, they did not. But anyways, no, they didn't.
Dead last.
Well, somebody has to. But
They kind of knew.
Funny story. Adirondack played them, and I was like, okay, guys, this is our chance to like turn our season around. We've got like 3 games, and we lost 2 out of the 3.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you know what? That's hockey, right? That's why you play the games. You know, it really is. So, anyways, they got Regan Kavanaugh and Justin Allen from Utica there. Those guys just finished up their season this year, and then Griffin Lund from Colgate. He's been there over a year now. What do you think of those guys?
You know, when you look at a team like Norfolk, a team that's in the position that they are, this is their time of year to give these college kids a shot. And, you know, you're basically looking at next year's roster.
Yeah,
and you're going to give these kids a shot for next year.
Absolutely. And I think all 3 of them are really going to pan out. I really do. So, Grace, we're going to come right back to those Greenville Swamp Rabbits for you because I know you want to keep talking about them.
Oh, yeah, always.
And they, too, have a couple of Colgate Raider alum. They have Josh McKechnie and they have Colton Young, who just signed with the team. Mm-hmm. So tell us about that a little bit.
All right, so I do know that Young did score his first goal against the Stingrays' very own Clay Stevenson, which is not something to brag about because we did lose that game 7-1, and we could have clinched the division that night, but I'm over it. We still clinched in the end. And then I know McKechnie also had 3 assists for the night. So, I mean, just by that alone, just looking at that game sheet, kind of impressed me.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the Rays' best night, but – I mean, 3 assists in one night. I mean, that's something coming right out of college. Like, that's insane to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And same with getting your first goal against a goaltender that is, I think he's 5th or 6th amongst the rookies for the season. I mean, that's something to be proud of.
Right, absolutely. And you know, watching Colton Young play at Colgate, because I covered quite a few of their games this year, the guy shoots the puck. He just he shoots the puck a ton. He had he got snake bitten a little bit this year at Colgate. I mean, for the amount of shots that he took, but I mean, again, it was just one of those, I'm telling you, it was just bad puck luck a few times. I mean, this goaltender was hot, you know, nothing to do, but I mean, he's proven that he is a legit talent. And a funny thing about that is with Colton Young anyway, he plays for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, who are the ECHL affiliate actually of the Los Angeles Kings. Now, his brother, Alex, who also plays at Colgate, is a draft pick of the San Jose Sharks. So if Colton can get picked up by the Kings, that could make a very interesting conversation at some point down the road. Because as we know, the Kings and the Sharks do not like each other.
I'm like my pulse.
Yeah, here we go again.
I don't have an ambulance sound.
I was just going to say
it. Yeah.
If the screen goes blank, we know.
We're all good.
Yeah.
If it goes blank, we know what happened. Somebody call 911.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna get a text from Connor in a couple of days. Hey, why hasn't Grace written anything?
Blame Scott.
I'll take my laptop to the hospital with me. I won't let Inside the Rink down. I can't let him down. That's my backup plan in case law school doesn't work out.
Well, hey, I can just see you for your laptop. You can take a selfie, like hooked up to monitor. You're like, I'm okay, Connor.
That's great. Yeah, and just remember, tell them you're a law student, and it'll take care of everything, right?
I know. I'm watching you guys like a hawk.
That's right.
You should have saw this when I got Grace press credentials, and her first night, she looked like a kid in the candy store.
It is a cool feeling, though. It really is. You know, being up there in the press box, and I'll tell you what, you get a whole different perspective of the game too. Because like what I've noticed is if you're sitting next to the person, if you watch like a lot of sites, they have the in-game stats or play-by-play or whatever. If you're sitting next to the people that are doing that, you almost get involved just listening to them and not even watching the game. It's crazy because number 12 with the shot saved by number 30, and it's not an actual announcer play-by-play. It's like the digital version of it or something like that, and it's really cool.
So I actually sit right next to the guy that does like our radio broadcasts, and I listen to him when I can't be at the games or like I'm stuck at work. So I'm like fangirling for him. I'm like, you're the guy. Oh my gosh. Like he's the one giving me my pass. And I'm like, he's the guy. I'm literally at the hockey game. Like I have credentials and I'm fangirling over the radio guy.
Yeah, Grace is looking for the camera going, look.
I know. I'm like texting my mom. I'm like, it's the guy. Like, that's literally the guy I talked to. And I'm like, wait, you're him? Like, oh my god,
Gonna put her on the jumbotron.
Can you
Yeah,
send my
you just get like
please?
this on the jumbotron. Like it's just.
I think I peed my pants at least 4 times.
Well,
I think it's significantly gotten worse as playoffs are about to start. Like half the time I'm texting your mom just like, I'm not okay. Like, why did you choose me for this job?
well, Grace, since you said that, whoever this guy is, I hope he's not watching because now he's going to kind of slide his chair down a little bit. He's like,
but we are going to do some research and find out who he is, so we can pass this along.
I'm gonna go to the game on Saturday. He's gonna be like, so yeah, huh?
Yeah. Well then,
I'm gonna get an email tomorrow morning. I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm gonna do a fake mustache now, so thanks. Got it.
I don't know how I'm gonna explain that one to Connor.
Yeah, leave it up to me. Don't worry about
it. I'll just phone and be like, Scott said he would handle this.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
Oh my gosh.
So let's move out west a little bit here. How about the Kalamazoo Wings? So they signed Utica pioneer Connor Fedoruk, defenseman. Looking it up here. Oh, Kalamazoo they missed the playoffs. They're in 5th place, but tell us a little bit about them.
Fedoruk's had a strong start from 3 points in his last 4 games. Like I said, it's the college season. These guys are looking to make the team. Especially when these kids like right after the college season get an ECHL contract. It's got to be huge for them. Getting your shot in the pros right away and being able to make your name. And, when you look at that, look at Adirondack. With Eric Mittendorf. Guy comes out of college a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Get signed to an HL deal with the Comets for next year.
Right. Exactly. And these kids can play. There's no doubt about it. And I'll tell you, I mean, obviously Division I's the top, but Division III is catching up quick. I mean, it's a lot of good hockey there. So the talent pool for these leagues to draw upon is just getting bigger and bigger, and that's only a good thing for the sport.
No, it's a great thing for the sport. Especially for these teams who in the last month of the year are struggling and aren't in playoff position. It's a time to give these kids a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how about the Tulsa Oilers, who have signed the Pioneers captain Dante Sabata?
The Oilers are another team that's out of the playoffs. And, I saw that move, and it was a great move for the Oilers, and that's what you need is, and the one thing that Pete McCarthy talks about is the leadership. You bring in a guy who's been a captain at college, making the jump to the ECHL. Not only do you bring in a young name, but you bring in somebody who can, possibly fit into a leadership role at some point down the road for that team.
Yeah, absolutely. And he certainly does know how to lead. That's for sure. He was a tremendous leader for the Pioneers, and I think he's going to do very well in Tulsa. And let's see, I want to close this up with somebody who he didn't, play for a college here, but he was at one time a Utica Comet. He was an extremely popular player when he was in Utica. For the Allen Americans, defenseman Colton Saucerman.
Yeah, the Allen Americans have had, Saucerman's had a good year, but one name you got to look at when you look at Allen is Hank Crone. This rookie got over 100 points in his first year, with the Americans. I think that kid's going to be a stud, in the ECHL moving forward. And I think they're the rookie of the year was on the ECHL first team. But, especially like you said, Saucerman's had a solid year too down there in Allen. Another team at the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there it is, the ECHL wrap-up. So just don't want to put anybody on the spot. But, and I know you guys cover your teams and stuff like that, who's going to take the Kelly Cup?
I'm going Idaho. I don't see how they find a way to lose. They have, and here's the bigger thing is, it's goaltending. If you've got 2 goaltenders who are in the top 3 in the league, you can't go wrong. So I just don't see a way they lose. And like they say, defense wins championships.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. How about you, Grace? Anybody but Idaho?
I was going to say anyone but Idaho. Words right out of my mouth. So I grew I grew up a Blues fan, so I'm always rooting for the underdog. Like 2019 Stanley Cup champs taking on the Bruins. Like,
yeah, right.
Where I come from. So anyone but Idaho. You know, I would love.
You want the Adirondack Thunder underdog story?
You know,
fighting from 19 points down in January.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, if like Armand said, if we're talking goaltending, I think the Stingrays have a great duo with Klisvitch and Tyler Wall. Such a solid duo. I mean, Tyler Wall has been goaltender of the week twice this year for the ECHL. Clay Stevenson has got it once. Tyler Wall has got 11 consecutive wins under his belt just recently. Before we started our baby goaltender, our last game. We don't talk about that, but we still won. But I mean, honestly, anyone but Idaho. I would love a Thunder win, but
I would love that too, Grace.
But I think Idaho's just had such a strong season. I think it's got to come down at some point. Like personally, we got to come down at some point. And I think the Kelly Cup playoffs, they could come down the first round.
You know, there's always a danger. And when you have a team that is absolutely rolled through the regular season, like Idaho has, or even you look at like the Boston Bruins in the NHL, there's always that danger that maybe things were just going too right all regular season. And because every team, let's face it, has to face some adversity, some turbulence or something like that at some point. And again, I don't really know because I don't really follow the Idaho, but I mean, I don't know if they've had any major injuries to deal with or anything like that. But sometimes when teams get so far ahead like that, they kind of start getting into cruise control a little bit too. And if that happens, it's kind of difficult to get out of that. But they've also had 119 points this season, so it's kind of hard to say they've been in cruise control on anything. So again, I don't know. You're right. That would be great if the Thunder could pull it off. Absolutely. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's why they play the games. And like I said, I just love the fact that the ECHL has best of 7 series all the way through. I love that.
We have a chance for the Devils to win the cup, Utica to win the cup, and Adirondack to win the cup. We would all love to see that.
Yeah, could you imagine that? That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
The Devils could have a decent shot.
I think so. I mean, they got to get by the Rangers in the first round, but I tell you, I think that, not getting off too far sidetracked here, but I think that Eastern Conference in the NHL is a little bit more wide open than people think. Let's just put it that way. I've said before that, we were just talking about things going too right. I think Boston's got some cracks in the armor that can be exploited, but we'll see. This is why that's why they play the games. And, and Barry already has informed me that my upset pick could be, it's only game 1 though. It's only game 1. But and like we were just saying earlier, so many cool nicknames in the ECHL. Armand, I think you guys ought to do for like Inside the Rink is do like on a Twitter, like the coolest nickname tournament. That would be awesome for the ECHL.
That's a good idea.
That would be so cool. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a lot of fun. Oh, hold on, Connor. I knew it. Connor, I said that on purpose because I wanted to get a comment out of you. I knew it was going to happen.
I'm like, I'm so fired then.
No, it's my fault. Don't worry about it.
Just bring protection, Grace.
I said, 2019.
Yeah. Oh, boy, hit the mute button.
Thank God Grace is a lawyer.
Oh, God. We could just go to, sound off.
Well, guys, if you want to stick around for our Utica Comets preview, you're
before we end let the viewers know one thing. The ECHL will have all the awards coming out in the next week, so Inside the Rink will be covering all of those. Our playoff previews will be out within the next day or two, so make sure to keep your eyes on that. And again, we plan on being the place for ECHL coverage.
Oh, absolutely. You guys, like I said, you're all over. I mean, there's InsideTheRink.com. You got the app. You're on Facebook. You're on Twitter. I think you're on Instagram. You're everywhere. And Armand, you're leading the charge, man, and that's just awesome.
Jeez,
Number 1 fan.
Grace, it wasn't that good, but here I'll help you.
Oh boy. All right. So like I said, we're going to get to that Utica Comets preview. But first, we're going to take a commercial break. Did you guys want to stick around for that, or?
If they're here when we're back.
I probably won't, but
I got a lot of other stuff for Inside the Rink. I gotta get.
All right. No problem. But guys, thank you for taking the time to come on and talk to us, and let's stay in touch and keep us updated on how that ECHL is doing.
We will.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. It was nice meeting you, Grace.
Nice meeting you.
Right. Take care, guys. All right, that was pretty awesome. So, like I said, we're going to do that commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the Utica Comets versus Laval Rocket, and we're going to take this thing home when we come back.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes Store, listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
All right, and we are back. You know, I didn't mention at the beginning of the show, Dave, but you know, this is a doubleheader for 315 Hockey Live this week.
I know.
This is awesome. We were going to have Daniel Walcott from the Syracuse Crunch on tonight. There was a little bit of a scheduling conflict. So instead of tonight, Daniel's going to be on Wednesday night at 6:30, right here where you're watching the show.
Yeah.
And it's going to be awesome. He's a very interesting guy. Excellent. And can't wait to talk to him. His Syracuse Crunch are taking on the Rochester Americans in the North Division semifinals, which start this Friday. And the other 315 AHL team, the Utica Comets, start their playoff run Wednesday night. And they will be going to Laval.
Which is why you were at 6:30.
Yes, well, yeah, we were like, whoa, we got all this stuff going on here, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyways, the Comets finished in 4th place in the North Division. So they have to play the opening round because the way it was set up this season, the top 3 teams in the North Division got the first round bye. Teams are the 4th and 5th seed play each other in a best of 3 series, which are extremely dangerous and the winner goes on to play the number 1 seed Toronto Marley in the best of 5. The Utica Comets, like I said, are playing Laval Rocket. So the way it's going to work, game 1's in Laval. Games 2 and 3, which are Friday and Saturday night, are in Utica. Saturday night, of course, if necessary. This is going to be an interesting series, Dave. This is going to be very interesting. Like I said, I've never been a fan of best of 3 series.
I know. You
because
always say
they're
that.
Nerve-wracking.
Yes.
Very nerve-wracking.
It's good for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Armand and
Grace
are going to be alone, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. But the Comets finished 4th by virtue of having 80 points. And then the Rocket finished 5th by virtue of having 76 points. So the way this is going to break down, head-to-head, they played each other 6 times this season. Laval won 5 of those games, including all 3 at the Adirondack Bank Center. So Laval's calling card basically is offense, offense, offense. They are 2nd in the league in goals scored. They have 258 goals scored this season. They're leading the league in shots per game at 34.26. Their power play is 22.5%. They're 68 for 302, which is 6th in the league. And they have 13 shorthanded goals scored, which ties them for 1st in the league. So again, this is a team that can score a heck of a lot of goals. Their leading scorer is Anthony Richard, 30 goals, 37 assists for 67 points. And by the way, I don't think that he's related to Rocket Richard. So
how many people are named that? What are the odds?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look, Grace ran with it, so he should too.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So the thing is, though, their parent club, the Montreal Canadiens, did not make the playoffs. So they got a little bit back in the way of reinforcements. They got Yoel Teasdale, who has 23 goals and 15 assists. They got him back from Montreal. They got Jesse Lannon. They're going to be loaded for bear now because, again, they got help coming back. again, though, defense has been a bit of a problem for the Rockets. So they've given up 247 goals. That's 26th in the league. They're giving up 31.72 shots per game. That's 28th in the league. And they're second to last on the penalty kill, which is 75.6%. So there's obviously something that can be taken advantage of there. I think the Comets are going to see Caden Primo for their goaltender in this series.
I was going to ask you who's going to goaltend.
There's two. They have two, Caden Primo and Kevin Poulin. Both of them have actually historically done pretty well against the Comets. But Primo's got the better record and he's played more. He's at 19, 15, and 6. He's got a 3.04 goals against average, 909 save percentage, and he's got 3 shutouts on the season. The Comets, I'm just going to run through this quick and then we'll discuss the series.
Okay.
How's that? All right. So the Comets, they've scored 215 goals, which is good for 22nd in the league. They've got 29.15 shots per game, which is 25th. Their power play is at 15.8%, which is second to last in the league. So this is where it's going to be interesting, right? The Comets have struggled on the power play. The Rocket have struggled on the penalty kill. Never know. Maybe a chance to get right there. The Comets are a better defensive team. They've given up 222 goals this year. That's 16th in the league. They're allowing 28.92 shots, which is 8th. The penalty kill, they're at 27th in the league because they're 77.4%. They got 6 shorthanded goals scored. Goaltending wise, obviously, I think you're going to see Nico Dawes with Akira Schmid being recalled up to New Jersey. Isaac Poulter's played pretty good when he's been in, but obviously Nico Dawes has been the starter all season long, and he's got a record of 16, 14, and 3. He's got a goals against average of 2.70, which isn't too shabby. 904 save percentage, and he's got 2 shutouts on the season. So the Comets' leading scorer is Graham Clark. He's got 25 goals, 33 assists for 58 points. Riley Walsh is having himself a heck of a season too off the defense. 9 goals, 32 assists for 41 points. It's going to be really interesting in the regards that I think the Comets have to win game 1 in Laval. They have to. And that's not to say that if they lose that the series is over, but you don't want to go down one game or in a 3-game series.
Right.
You just don't want to do it and run that risk of having to run the table at home.
Well, especially with what the record had been at home during the regular season.
Exactly.
That's
exactly, which is going to be kind of a, what do we,
win one on the road, please.
Yeah, pretty much. But I'll tell you that crowd in Laval was their stadium, Place Belle, it's called. You like that?
Yeah.
It holds almost 11,000 people.
Jeez.
So it's almost an NHL size arena. And I can guarantee you it is going to be loud in there.
Yep.
Very loud. Not to say that the Adirondack Bank Center won't be loud Friday or Saturday night, but I'm just saying with 11,000 people, the place is going to be rocking. So
I'm just confused as to what color I should wear and whether I should look like a clown.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm saying I'm going with both. Forget the red, black, and white. Just go with the yellow, which seems to be winning, and then put some clown paint on, and I'll fit in. Great discussions out there.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I guess I could see all sides of it.
Yeah.
Traditionally, that's what the Comets have done. They've done white out the odd.
Yeah.
Right. From the time when the Vancouver was here and all that. I thought red would be pretty cool. Actually,
yeah, it would be.
I mean, like the Calgary Flames do that.
Yeah.
They make the playoffs in the NHL and the sea of red, and it looks pretty cool on TV. So, I mean, the Comets colors are red, right? So, I mean, they could have really screwed everybody up and gone red and green and like the old Utica Devils, which it's amazing how polarizing that is too. Some people love the Utica Devils red,
and I was like,
hate it. I'm like, wow.
Oh God, that was funny. Some funny reading.
Gumper, for instance, couldn't stand it.
Oh, really?
Couldn't stand it.
Oh, wow.
They're not the Devils, they're the Comets. I'm going, oh. So that started like a 10-15 minute rant, right?
Beer-fueled rant.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Utica Club had a lot to do with that, too.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, like I said, if anything, I think the Comets do have to win Wednesday night. They're going to have to. And another thing I didn't point out earlier too, you got to watch out for that Laval Rocket in the first and the third period. So they are third in the AHL in first period scoring, and they're tied for second in the third period. So watch out there. I mean, they're still a top 10 team in the second period, but Not quite as prolific as they are in the first or the third.
And where can people see this on AHL TV, or where is this?
That's going to be on AHL TV.
Okay, all right.
AHL TV, or if you want to listen to the radio, tune in to 94.9.
I know Grace will be.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Just get hooked on another announcer. I know she loves my voice.
Yeah, well, there you go. That'll be your next step, Dave. There you go.
I have free legal advice for the rest of my life.
You could be the play-by-play announcer for the Barnyard Rats.
Yeah. Oh, I'll do that.
I like it.
Yeah, I do.
And just so everybody knows, the Comets did not get anybody back from the Devils. Obviously, with the Devils being in the playoffs, there was some hope that maybe Kevin Ball was going to be coming back down. That's not happening.
That would have been nice.
I'll tell you, though, I'm actually glad that they kept Shimon Nemec down instead of bringing him up for the playoffs. And I think it's the smart move. Let him get some Calder Cup playoff experience, and you go from there next year. But that's it. Like I said, that starts Wednesday night. The Syracuse Crunch start Friday night, but we're going to be talking about that with Daniel. Let's see. Barry, thank you for reminding me about that. Absolutely. Royce Sommer, who is the all-time winningest coach in the AHL, has retired. He was the bench boss for the San Diego Gulls this season, but he's had a long, illustrious career, and congratulations, Roy. Just a fantastic job all the way around. So very good. So I think that's all we got, Dave. Like I said, we better rest because we're doing 2 shows this week.
Roll the credits.
2 shows, exactly. So we're coming back Wednesday night at 6:30 here with Daniel Walcott of the Syracuse Crunch. All right. So I want to thank Armand Klisvitch and Grace Gendron again for Inside the Rink for coming on to talk about the ECHL with us. And we want to thank you for watching and listening wherever you are. All right. So that's it. For Dave the Save Warner, I'm Scott Kimball. Thanks for listening, and we will see you Wednesday night on 315 Hockey Live.